In this episode, Golden and I discuss Titans Season 3, Full Speed Ahead.
The Omega Beam. Full power. The Omega Beam.
Welcome to the Omega Beam number 150. I'm your host, Oren Merton. Titans, based on the DC Comics series Teen Titans, just finished streaming its third season on HBO Max and has been greenlit for a fourth season. So without any further ado, let's get to it.
I'm here with Oren Merton to discuss Titans Season
3. So of all the Berlanti shows, Titans was always the grimmest. It was always the one that was the most brutal, but not in the way that Arrow was grounded brutal. This was always more fantasy brutal. And it was always dark, and everything is collapsing around our heroes, and our heroes are collapsing, and everything. So, Season 3, in a sense, it's more of the same, because everything's going wrong, it's incredibly grim, and everything's collapsing. But Golden, you even said at one point that this is just so unrelentingly dark that you weren't enjoying it at a certain point.
I think what I said, that it was just mimicking things that were happening in the world that weren't good, and I didn't want to watch that. As a side note, I do have to say, in terms of grim and dark, Riverdale is kind of up there with this.
The list of Berlanti grimdark shows is growing.
But no, yeah, at one point I was just that, and I don't like smart people making stupid decisions.
Right.
I want to see them making the correct decision, because it's the decision not only for themselves, but that's best for everyone.
Right. Titans has always been a show about baggage. The first season, everyone ends up together because of their personal baggage. Rachel seeks out Dick Grayson because she's got all this baggage. Dick Grayson is in Detroit instead of Gotham because he's got all this baggage. Starfire has all this baggage. Everyone's about the baggage.
She doesn't even know what her baggage is.
Right. She's trying to figure out what her baggage is. It's all about the baggage.
She finds her baggage in the third season in a very unlikely place.
Yeah. Very true. So it was definitely about being lost in your own baggage. And that does make a convenient excuse for them, like you said, making bad decisions all the time.
I missed Raven for a good portion of it.
Yeah, she was sitting vigil for
Yeah, but I missed her character.
I did too. I think she's great. I love that actress, and I love the character.
And the costuming is beautiful.
And what's funny is, for those of you who heard me talk about comic characters, the actual as-written 80s Teen Titans Raven character, I thought, has one of the absolute worst power sets of any character, and I loved the look. We have a statue of
but now she's totally badass.
Oh yeah, I mean they rewrote her to make her amazing for the series, and she's definitely one of the high points of the series, and I missed her too. In the comics, Jason Todd is Robin. He's killed by the Joker, and he ultimately ends up going into a Lazarus pit and coming back as the murderous Red Hood, and ultimately he becomes a hero. They tried their own version of that arc with this season, and it was literally a question of how dark, how raw, how wrong can you go?
Well, he's never going to be a Titan again.
Right.
He can still make good decisions, and he can still help the Titans out. But he's past a line that he can't return fully. And I do love how it ended with him and another character.
Right. And that's one of the things I was going to say, is that as grim and dark,
people make mistakes.
Right. As grim and dark as this show was, the finale stuck the landing like nobody's business.
Yeah, and there's a scene between Connor, Starfire, and her sister. And Connor does something, and Starfire is just like, what the hell? Come on. And the sister's like, I get it. I understand. I probably would have done the same thing if our roles had been reversed.
Right.
And Starfire has a really hard time accepting
right. She's
that
been Right.
her sister's okay with
she's
this.
being more judgy, even though it was the sister who was wronged the most directly. Yeah.
And right there, I was just like having a hard time with. And I guess that's the character, but I didn't feel like the character was locked down. I didn't feel like the character of Starfire was locked down. I felt like it was kind of floating.
I think we were supposed to feel like since Starfire was raised to be a queen, that she was kind of raised to be super judgy. But I could be writing that story. Maybe they didn't write it, and I just filled in the blanks.
I really loved the relationship between her sister and Connor.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that it started as soon as her sister walked in and met him. And Connor is not always the brightest bulb, but he has the memory.
Right, he's
and he has the intelligence.
He's half Lex Luthor, so that's worth something.
Maybe it's the wisdom that's a little lacking.
Right. It's that he was literally born yesterday. Well, a year ago or whatever. He came from a test tube, so he did not have all of that experience you get from living those years. He understands
what Dick does and why Dick does it. And there's no hard feelings. And I don't really feel like he can hold on to hard feelings, except for maybe, judging himself and beating himself up over what happened. Right.
And I have said it once, I will say it again. My favorite character in any superhero universe is Krypto. Krypto, the Superman's dog, and I love the fact that Krypto is a character in Titans, and he gets his times to shine too, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, the finale was fantastic. It was as light as the rest of the season was dark. It even ended, what we're supposed to realize by the end is they are, it is about found family to a degree.
Even Krypto is so smart. Instead of playing dead, he plays poisoned by kryptonite.
That's right. So, in the end, because, we're supposed to realize it's the found family thing, instead of taking a jet, Dick Grayson decides to rent a huge U-Haul, or not U-Haul, RV, so that everyone can take a road trip. And
I'm still not sure where everyone's sleeping, and there's probably only one bathroom on that RV.
There's probably only one bathroom. And it made me smile because it was like a moment where he's basically saying, okay, we've been through this massive horror, we've been through the Ringer, we've been through Grimdark, let's just have a bonding trip. And Starfire, who doesn't want to go, her comment is, well, I get to DJ. So, everyone's clearly
Starfire is the travel in style.
Right.
Like you said, she was raised as a princess.
She was.
So she expects that level. Keep in mind, if you went back and you listened to one of our first talks about Titans, this was not a series that either one of us was necessarily looking forward to. And we got hooked.
Yeah.
And I think we are still very much hooked. It's really neat to see how far the characters have grown. We've lost a couple characters along the way.
Yeah.
In either, leaving or we've lost them.
Yeah, I mean, unlike a lot of superhero shows, especially on the CW, this one has stakes. And that does heighten the drama because they will kill characters. Now, of course, it's fantasy.
You say drama and stakes, and I'm thinking of Barbara Gordon stuck in a wheelchair, and the water is just dripping on the desk.
Right.
And dripping. And you find out how Crane is trying to get his drug out.
Right.
And the water is dripping.
They did a good job this season. They do a good job every season. The thing about Berlanti's shows, they're not all my favorite show or anything, but by this point, his production company has a style. And it's very good. I mean, everything's very polished. The effects are very good. They license great music to add to the soundtrack. They get very skilled composers to write the score in between the pop songs that they license. They're good shows. And so this has a very, very professional level of polish. And the writing and the acting is really good. And they're getting a season 4. So we will get to see where they go from here. I hope it's not as grimdark.
Well, they're traveling.
Hopefully they'll be in a...
Where are they going?
San Francisco. Hopefully they'll be in a better mood when they get there. We'll see.
I wonder if we're going to get to travel with them, or they're just going to arrive in San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if they're just going to arrive in San Francisco.
Yeah, either they're just going to arrive in San Francisco, or maybe...
And how much of the bus will still be in one piece?
Maybe season 4 is, they stop off in Central City in the Midwest, and, adventure ensues. Who knows? We will see.
If you're looking for a show that is a little bit more realistic than just what used to be the everyday superhero show, Titans definitely falls into that category.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on HBO Max.
Not like the...
No, it's on HBO Max, so they're freer to use, saltier language. They're freer to add a little bit more blood and gore. But this isn't like The Boys. I do not respond to gore, and this is not like the kind of show where I have to look away all the time. It's not that. Well, thank you, Golden.
You are welcome.
And thank you for listening to this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/150. If you liked this episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help people who like this stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.
The Omega Beam. Full stop.